Two teams that definitely are worthy of making the playoffs this year. Baltimore and San Francisco faced off this past weekend, and it was a hell of a game. We saw some high-powered offense in the first half, and then the second half was really a defensive battle. Baltimore ends up narrowly beating the 49ers 20-17 on a last-second field goal. So first, I just kind of want to generally ask you, Storm, what your takeaways were from this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the game because I was too busy watching the Eagles suck it up. But I saw the weather looked pretty ugly there. It was pretty sloppy.
It was real bad.
So, I think for me, Baltimore coming into a potential letdown spot after just blowing the doors off the Rams, coming into another huge game against San Fran. I know it was home, but I thought there was a little spot for letdown. They came in there, they hung in tough, and they got the job done. They're not only winning by blowing people out, but they're also winning in the close games too, and that's what you need to do. And it's impressive.
Yeah, man. I'm going to start from the San Francisco side real quick. Every time I watch this defense take the field, I am more and more impressed with them. Like, I know Lamar Jackson still had a real good game, particularly on the ground. He had 16 rushes for, I think, like $130, over 100 yards. I forget exactly how much. But they held him to just 100 and change through the air. And I get that the weather was bad, but that still is impressive. They are averaging only allowing 132 yards passing per game.
Richard Sherman and crew,
It's absolutely it's the whole unit. It's the defensive line getting after the quarterback. So that San Francisco defense will keep them in every single game. And the offense looked all right. They struggled a little bit more running the ball than they usually do, and that Baltimore defense stepped up like we had talked about last week on the show. They're really clicking. I didn't really learn a ton about San Francisco on the offensive side. They were kind of what I expected. But then in terms of the Ravens, Lamar Jackson showed that he doesn't have to light up the stat sheet to win games. Like, that game came down to the last drive. He was able to eat up over 6 minutes on the clock. That's a pro right there, man. That's not a guy who's just out there making improv plays, unscripted stuff, throwing bombs. That's a guy who understands the game plan, understands the situation, and is able to execute. And that, to me, is something that makes this Ravens team very, very dangerous. He looked extremely poised down the line, even after a pretty pedestrian game through the air. So I was very, very impressed with that. All in all, these two teams showed why they are both considered two of the top teams in the NFL right now, and both have a really good chance at making it to the Super Bowl. But since Baltimore is the team that won, I want to ask you if you think this should make them Super Bowl favorites this year.
Yeah, I absolutely think they should be Super Bowl favorites right now. Like you said, Lamar's playing well. That situational football, that defense is coming into their own. That running game is scary. I mean, we always say that these championships are made in the trenches. It's that D-line and O-line. And when Lamar has protection or when they're running the ball and that D-line, that Judon his name is, getting pressure on the quarterback like that, that team's just looking legit on all aspects of the ball right now. Marcus Peters looks like his career's a little revived after your boys traded him. He has a couple picks there.
I don't get it. You go from sunny L.A. to Baltimore and all of a sudden you're happier? It don't make no sense.
Playing along Jimmy Smith, Earl Thomas. I mean, that's a damn good second. Marlon Humphrey. Yeah. I mean, you just look, that team all around just has playmakers in every position. And how can you forget about Hollywood Brown, too? I mean, the wide receiver
and he's
spot.
had slow games just because he doesn't get a ton of targets, but he still does give you that option over the top, makes defenses respect the long passing game.
Switch the game in the snap of a finger.
Exactly,
so, it's impressive right now, and right now it's hard to pick against them.
I agree. It is very hard to pick against them because they do look so good on both sides of the ball. And their defense isn't the best in the NFL. Obviously, you got Buffalo, New England, San Fran that are definitely stronger units as a whole. But Baltimore has the ability to make game-changing plays, like you said, getting after the quarterback. And then that secondary, they may let up a few big plays a game, but, man, they can turn a game around by especially Marcus Peters, reading a play, jumping on it, pick six type of thing. So I think it's tough to pick against them right now because then you look at the offensive side and no one's been able to stop them. No one has because their two losses this year, they had the fluke against Cleveland, and then they lost to Kansas City, and that's before their defense really got the swag that they have right now. I don't know. This just kind of seems like a team of destiny, a team that not a lot of people had faith in going into the year, and really just Lamar Jackson showing people that they underestimated him.
Yeah, I was one of those people. I'll eat crow
I
on
was
there.
too. I wasn't writing him off long term, but I
Right.
didn't think he would develop this much in one offseason. I mean, kudos to him. It's wild. You kind of see him and Baker last year. Baker, people thought of way higher, even though Lamar was the one who got into the playoffs, even though he had a stinker in that first game. But then you look at this season, Baker comes in, looks a little out of shape. He's obviously
Too many
not clicking.
State Farm
does a bunch
commercials.
of those State Farm commercials, the My House. And then Lamar Jackson comes in. You hadn't heard from him all off season. No commercials. He comes in. He put on 20-plus pounds. You hear how much time he spent in the film room working on his accuracy, his throwing motion, and hard work pays off. The dude is showing it. In just that 1 year, he is now an elite quarterback in this league.
And Harbaugh warned us. He let us know at the beginning of the year.
He
He's
really
like,
tried it.
we're going to change things around here.
Well, because
and wow.
I saw what Seattle did running the ball so heavy last year, and I saw how limited it was.
Right.
But the way in which Baltimore runs the ball with the read options, and obviously Lamar having the willingness to take the space that the defense gives him, and then now I didn't expect him to be as good as a thrower as he's developed into. So defenses really have to respect him in that regard. It's been very, very impressive. I give kudos to that entire organization.